Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Lay it on. Today we have a very, very special guest. Needs no introduction, but I'm going to give a little one anyway. A legend in many spaces, cooked for the best with the best. Just an absolute legend and pioneer in cooking and food media, including being on TV. A huge inspiration to mine. 30 plus books, 24 James Beard Foundation Awards, if not more. Who the heck knows who's counting at this point? He's got a BA and an MA in French Lit. We can go on for days. Emmy Award, Lifetime Achievement, Cooking at Home with Julia Childs, just to throw that in there. I'm going to butcher this word, but Légion d'honneur, the highest rank you can get of merit in France. Which is just, again, this list could go forever. From a man who needs no introduction, I would like to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much. Jacques Pépin, everyone, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do I say?
You say nothing. I said it, just enough yapping right there. It's just an honor for me to have you on the show. You might not know the movie, but in Wayne's World, they meet a famous rock star that they love. And when they meet him, they just bow down and say, we're not worthy, we're scum. And I don't feel like scum, and I don't know, that saying's a little exaggerating. But what I'm getting at is it's an honor, man, and just an absolute joy. So enough of me going on about how great you are. I would just love to talk to you a little bit. And
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Great.
I know your 90th birthday is that's approaching, right? Isn't that is approaching shortly, and just like what a feat at that. But before we get into how much amazing stuff you've done throughout your life, if you could just tell me a little bit about where you grew up, Jacques.
Well, I grew up in France during the Second World War. So, I was born in 1935. And my parents, my mother had a little restaurant, and she used absolutely everything from potato peel to whatever.
Yeah.
She was a very, very, very good cook this way. I mean, because ingredients were scarce.
You had to.
And you didn't have. So that's probably where I get it from her.
This getting your inspiration to cook is from your mom. Yeah.
Yeah. By the end of the war, I went into apprenticeship, and then that's where life was certainly easier for a kid at that point. I mean, we didn't have television, we didn't have a radio, we didn't have telephone, we didn't have magazine, newspaper. My father was a cabinet maker. My mother was a cook, so I was going to be a cabinet maker or a cook. This is about the extent of
And
my
what part of
future.
France? Not. Do you mind if I ask?
Yeah, I was in Leone. Leone is somewhat halfway between Paris and the Riviera, So
Sure.
I was a bit on the side of Switzerland.
Okay. So food, wine, and cheese, just passion for that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Lyon is actually recognized as one of the center of great food in France. So, Lyon is also well known for the formidable woman cook. Many women who have 3-star. It is the ultimate achievement in the Michelin Guide. In Lyon, we have women who have this.
Is that right?
And in my family, I count 12 restaurants in the area too, several of them. My mother, my aunt, my sister-in-law, but all women. I was the first male to go into that business.
Sure.
So the women were...
Well, traditionally, right, I think women did a lot of the cooking, and I mean, still do for that matter, but you do see more men getting into it, and I think, that's amazing. I grew up, both my parents cooked a little bit, had a garden, and that's kind of where I think I just like to really eat too, so that's why my mom once said to me, she's like, Brad, you're never going to go hungry, because you're always you're always going to be able to cook yourself something.
Right.
And I've always loved that, just a expression of being able to kind of cook from whatever.
Yes, and cooking brings people together, and it's a way of communicating. I mean, certainly for me. And I have a granddaughter now, which is in New York. She's finishing at BU this year, and when she was 5 years old, got to my house, had a little stool next to me, and she stayed there and said, "Give me the salad. Okay, is it clean? Do you think you..." Yeah, so we talk, and I said, "Okay, I need some parsley. Let's go to the garden." So in the garden, I said, "Taste it. No, that's chive. Taste, no, that's tarragon. Okay, taste that parsley." We go, she continue, cook with me, then we sit down and eat, and that opened another communication.
It's a
So for us,
universal.
it was very important, yes.
Yeah, and I've always say I say it all the time, but it's like music, right? It's a universal language,
Yes.
to people, and just such a it's the best, and learning how to cook and just going out to. I have a couple kids now, and like one of them's a little picky, and if you get him to catch a fish or grow a green bean or some cilantro, he might not like it out of the supermarket, but he's very interested and wants to eat it when he has a much
I hope.
more,
Sure.
and the flavor's better, huh?
Yeah, and the kid don't like it, fine. You don't like it, don't eat it, fine.
Sure.
Move to something else.
We'll try again later.
Yeah.
The one thing I've always loved with you is just your expression for technique, and just, that's the one thing that really kind of changed the way I look at cooking. It was just like, well, I mean, and I'm sure, you can say you didn't invent anything, right? But like having an arsenal of 10, 15, whatever techniques and like major avenues to cook with. From there, you can kind of just, do a lot.
Yes, I mean, I have a book called La Technique, actually, which is being kind of reissue a bit this year for the 50th anniversary of the book. So it's been 50 years ago I published that book.
Yeah.
And certainly for a professional chef, the technique are very important because it's 11 o'clock in the morning, you have 100 people sitting down at 12. Well, it's not a question of peeling the carrot or doing the artichoke bottom. You got to move and do it fast. So you cannot survive in a kitchen unless you're a good technician. Move and handle the food fine. That being said, I know a fair amount of chefs who are really good technicians and relatively lousy cook. The food is okay, but not that great. But certainly when you talk about Thomas Keller or Daniel Boulou, you talk about not only a technician, but someone who has talent, someone who has idea and
passion
more,
for it.
and passion, and you have to put some of yourself in it too,
Yeah.
some love.
So you mentioned growing up in France and always being into cooking. Your mother was a big influence, and the region in general, I'm sure. But like, when did you really start to like you want to get into it as a profession? You said you moved to Paris at some point, or
Yes, well, in France you had to go to school until age 14 to finish primary school. And I think I was in that class when I was 12. So I took all of the entrance, all of the exam, that I had to take, and finished. And I was 13 at that point. I went into apprenticeship in Bourg-en-Bresse, the town that I was born in, not too far from Leone, about 60 kilometers from where my parents lived, on a beautiful old hotel too. And I did my 3 year apprenticeship there. Eventually, I moved to Paris. So.
And when you started there, well, it's just just bottom of the list, I'm sure, right? What were you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's important. And that's something that my dad always instilled in me way before I was into cooking, was like, it's the importance and the value of starting from the bottom, and and just most of the value in it too. It's like a major link in the chain, I guess.
Yeah, I
you could
mean,
say.
Bourg-en-Bresse is very well known for the chicken of Bresse, Bresse. And so I was an apprentice 13, so you kill the chicken, you plug the chicken, you eviscerate the chicken, you kill the rabbit and all. I mean, it's a bit different than it is now, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, thankfully, I think the pendulum's swinging a bit. But so you must have learned a lot in that apprenticeship.
Of course, you learn a lot, but within a certain structure, type of restaurant where those are. And then after you have to move on to Paris at some point. And then, from one restaurant to the other.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea at that point for a chef was not to, like now, to create, to invent, that did not exist at the time. You went somewhere to conform, to go there. At the Plaza Athénée in Paris, maybe one of the most famous dishes is the lobster soufflé, a lobster soufflé which is done where we were 48 chefs at the Plaza Athénée. So the 40th chef could have done it, you would not know which has done it. That was the idea, not to create something, but to go there, to conform, to learn this way. You stay there a year or two, then you move to another place where you conform again. So it takes a number of years before you get into your own, if you have your own restaurant.
Right.
But at that point, you start doing your own stuff. Yeah.
But I'm sure it was hard and at times monotonous, right? I can only imagine. But learning, mastering something, I use the word master loosely, but do it enough to where you can, it's not just you didn't see it or cook it 20 times. You can do that thing in your sleep at that point, right?
You can, and it's interesting though, because you'll go to a restaurant like that, like the Plaza Athénée, because the dish is exactly the same each time. You have the lobster soufflé, whatever. Yeah, or a chicken sauté with mushroom or whatever it may be. If I am there behind the stove, in the spot where I have to do the chicken sauté, I may do it 12 times, 15 times that same evening, depending on the table coming in. And they taste the same exactly, and that was the idea. But if you were to film me, 12 times I did it different. Not big differences, but slight differences. You follow the food. And it's more a reaction that you don't even anticipate, so forth. Because why? One time the chicken is that thick, the other one is less thick. You cook on gas, on electric, you cook on copper or aluminum or whatever. So you taste, you adjust, you taste, you adjust, you taste. It comes out the same at the same time. But if you were to really tape it, you will see there is slight difference each time.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet. So cooking in France, right? And just doing your apprenticeship and filling your quiver with knowledge, I guess we could say. At that point, are you trying to become a head chef at a restaurant or open your own restaurant? Or
Well, that's the point. I could have been into apprenticeship, work in another restaurant, and come back into a little bistro and have the head chef. I can go to Paris as I did and work another 10 years in great restaurant and still not be the chef, depending the type of restaurant, the class, and so forth. So eventually, yes, but certainly it takes time, especially, as I say, if you want to work in a good restaurant in France. So
it's
going to take you to be the chef, the executive chef at the Plaza Athénée, for example, where I worked there for several years. It would take a long time.
Right, to get it, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Before you get there.
Much different, you say, than it is now, or you can become a big chef and get a job at a new spot.
Yes, it's different. And now, of course, there is more emphasis on the creativity of the chef, on this and that. At that time, really, the cook was at the bottom of the social scale, and there was no, I cooked with the president in France, for between 56, 58. I served like Eisenhower, Nehru, Tito, Macmillan.
As a chef for him?
Yeah, I was the
private chef.
I was the private chef, the executive chef. I served all of those heads of state. Never once ever would have been called to go to the dining room for kudo. Are you kidding?
Right, yeah.
That did not exist. The cook was in the kitchen. I was never once interviewed for television, radio, newspaper. It didn't exist. So the cook has a different, totally different than now. As I say, was really at the bottom of the social scale. Any good mother would have wanted her kid to marry a lawyer, not a cook. Now, great chef, we are genius.
Sure, right. You're like a surgeon now, sure. And just cooking throughout the restaurants, and you said working for the president of France at the time. That's a heck of a position there. So you had a whole team underneath you, and just
I have no team. I have one guy with me. That's it. So we never serve more than, I think maybe the biggest party was 10 or 12. Otherwise, it's 4 or 5 to every day. To when we had large reception, then there was a catering business who came in to work on that.
And you're talking breakfast, lunch?
Yeah.
Anytime they're home?
And dinner,
midnight snacks?
Well, no. Yes, if needed, of course.
So you lived on premises?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. And then I was reading on the old internet that you were offered a position from JFK at some point to
Yeah, when I came to this country, I worked at the Pavillon. Pavillon was considered the greatest French restaurant in the U.S. and so forth. And one of the clients of the Pavillon was Howard D. Johnson, who created the company. And Pierre Freinet was the executive chef at the Pavillon. And Mr. Johnson asked him to come and work for Howard Johnson, and he asked me to go with him. At the same time, there was some problem at the pavilion. I was asked, yes, by the Kennedy family to work. But as I said, I probably didn't really realize the potential or the idea. I had done that in France 2 years, and big deal. There was never I'd never been on a radio or
You were over it.
so that didn't exist. So to a certain extent, I probably didn't realize the potential. And I was in New York not that long, about a year after I came here. So I had my friend that started there. I didn't want to move again, and it turned out to be a very good decision for me because when I left Howard Johnson, I worked there 10 years, 1960, 1970.
Oh, wow.
I opened a restaurant on Fifth Avenue called La Potagerie, which was we serve 900 people a day, soup, bread, very, very simple stuff. Then I opened the World Trade Center. I set up the commissary, opened the World Trade Center with Joe Bob. We serve 40,000 people a day in different commissaries.
Oh, wow.
And then I was a consultant at the Russian Tea Room. I'm saying all of this, I would never have been able to do any of those jobs without the training of Howard Johnson. As a chef, I didn't know anything about production, marketing, chemistry of food, and so forth. So that was
It's huge.
a good decision.
Yeah,
And
I guess so. It seemed to. And so, like, how old were you, if you had a guess, when you moved to New York, if you remember?
When I moved to New York, I was 24.
24.
Yes.
First time to the States?
Yes, of course. And I only came here for a year anyway, and I'm still here for 60 years.
The plan was to come for a year.
Because most people come to America for economic reason, to get a better life, or political reason, or racial reason, or religious reason, or one of those things, which I didn't have any of this. I had a great job in Paris. My parents had a restaurant in Leone too. But I said, I want to go to America, see. I'm excited by the idea of seeing people eating in the street at any time of the day, less structure, totally different than in Europe. So I said, I'll stay a year, learn the language, and that's it.
New York must have been a much different animal back then as far as a culinary center. I mean, it's
sure.
known as one of the bigs now, right? And there's all these different diversity in food, and not that there wasn't diversity in food then, but in restaurants, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a quite different scene.
Yeah, well, there is 24,000 restaurants in New York. At that point, it was another world. I did an article for the New York Times just a few weeks ago, just on that, talking the development of, and less than a year after I was in America, I knew the trinity of cooking in America, which was Craig Claiborne, was the food editor of the New York Times, food critic, James Beard, too, and Julia Child. Those three, and I knew them. So the food world was very, very small. I actually didn't even know any American chef. Otherwise, all the chefs I knew in New York, in big hotel restaurant, came from Switzerland, France, Italy, to before the CIA, that is the Culinary of America, started in New Haven, actually here, and eventually moved upstate New York and start creating chefs. That was later.
Yeah, because you taught there for a little bit, right?
Not at the CIA.
You did not, no.
No.
So in New York, and I mean, that was, you were there for about 10 years, you said, living in New York, or a bit more?
Oh, yes, more than 10 years.
Yeah.
But I taught at the French Culinary Institute in New York. Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I was one of the dean here for 20-some years.
Wow.
And then I went to, when I came here, I went to Columbia University to learn language, so I took the subway, went there, and then eventually I kept...
To learn language, you said?
Well, to learn English properly.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
When I came here. So I enrolled in English for foreign students, which I did for maybe 2 years. Then I was at the level of English for freshmen, whatever it was. So I took some different exam because I never been to high school. So I had to do a validation program. I wanted to continue, so I did a validation program, eventually passed it too. Then I got a BA, then I got a master, then I was doing a PhD. In 1972, I proposed a doctoral dissertation on an history of food civilization, which they told me, it's too menial. Food, no, you cannot do that. So,
And this is all while teaching or cooking or?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so we moved to Connecticut, and I gave a class at Wesleyan University on that subject, and someone audited the class. They said, we're opening that program at Boston University, so can you come and teach there? I said, okay. So then I started going to BU a couple of weeks every spring and in the fall on the culinary program, which has been there a long time. And in the mid-'80s, I asked Julia lived in Boston, Julia Child, and I said, why don't you come and teach with me too? So we end up doing things together at BU. And she said, I'm going to write to John Silbert. So we did both. The president of BU, she said, we should have a program in gastronomy. It doesn't exist really. So he said, okay. So we created a master of liberal art with a concentration in gastronomy. And the program is still going on now.
Incredible.
And
And
that
it's good that
was
you
in the
started it.
mid-'80s. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, you bring up Julia, and just what a legend of her own, right? So that's when you met her, then, or you knew her from New York, and then up in Boston is when you guys started that.
Yeah, from New York, yes.
Yeah.
At that time, she had moved to Boston. Yeah, she moved to Boston a couple of years, that's it. So I have a friend of mine, Helen McCoy, was the food editor of McCall, House Beautiful, and so forth. And Craig Claiborne, who came to review the pavilion and all that. I met him too. He introduced me to Helen. And Helen kind of became my surrogate mother. Don't do this, do that too. I mean, she was a much older woman.
Angel.
And at some point she said, well, I want you to look at that manuscript. I got the manuscript of a new book here. So I looked, I said, this is pretty good. And of course, that was Mastering the Art of French Cooking of Julia. So she said, well, the woman lives in Boston. She's going to come next week to New York. Do you want to cook for her? I said, sure. She said, that's a very tall woman with a terrible voice. So I said, okay. So Julia came, and actually I spoke French with Julia. French was better than my English at the time. She just came back from France for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And so I became friends with her in 1960. So basically she died in 2005, I believe. So
Fun to cook with.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We did several television series together.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, Jacques. Because
we
at
argue
the
all
time,
the time.
Yeah, at the time, right, there was not much food programming on TV before. I mean,
No, not much.
hosting.
No, not much.
I think you guys might have been like the first, to my understanding, at least one of them.
Well, Julia is certainly one of the first. I think James Beard did a couple of shows, and I remember seeing the show of James Beard were really bad. Bad also because the producer at the time, they may have 2 cameras, maybe 3 even at the time, but they tell you, the camera are not here. Don't look at the camera. Just talk in between yourself too. Exactly the opposite of now, which they say, make sure you talk to the camera.
Right, talk to whatever.
So there at that time, without James Beard, without looking at the camera, with cooking with someone, and stop talking for like 1 minute,
Right.
and then continue, yeah, give me the carrot too. So it was pretty, but that's the way it was.
And
Of
how
course,
was
it changed entirely when Julia started doing it and so forth. Yeah.
It takes, as someone who, I mean, you are the godfather of it, man. It's such an inspiration to even chat with you about it. But as someone who does it now too on the internet for YouTube, I do cooking, recipes, and very approachable. Just kind of make it, if I can, it's not even a recipe. A lot of the times we're just cooking it for the first time, and we're just kind of cooking, and I have a great audience that have been very supportive and love it, and it's been incredible. But like how it took a little while, and it was a very odd thing it's a very unnatural thing to cook and talk to a camera. I guess either you can do it or you can't.
Yes.
But how was that introduction to that? Most chefs I know better, back at the house, you go shove a camera in their face, they usually clam up or aren't that.
Yes, it depends on the people. But for me, I didn't find it strange. In fact, I always like to explain, starting with the book of technique that I did to explain why I'm doing it. So it was kind of natural for me to talk to the camera to try to explain. And yes, but I did 13 series of 26 shows for KQED, the PBS station in San Francisco. That's hundreds and hundreds of shows. That my son-in-law now already is getting those shows back, part of it, to put on Instagram, on YouTube, or whatever.
Sure,
It's a
so
bit
much
all over the place.
content.
But it depends the way you cook. I did some book and theater show which were much more sophisticated, lobster souffle stuff and so forth, and some which are very simple. At the beginning of the pandemic, my daughter Claudine told me, "Why don't you do a show of like 3, 4 minutes, five, with what's left in the refrigerator
They're the
for people
best.
who are home?" And we've done 400 of those. It's dumb, it's dumb. We shoot them. We did like 10, 12 a day usually. And so those are very unpretentious, simple show,
Well,
finish
you're
what.
so calm and charismatic and charming and just a great educator, Jacques. And that's why I think it really, what's the word I'm looking for? It really comes through on camera. You're
Yeah,
just
I
such a
mean,
natural
those
about it.
are those, pretty simple type of thing from making a sandwich to doing. I did a book show with my granddaughter, and a grandfather's lesson called, so I would cook with her, for example. I show her how to do a curly dog, you know, which I don't know why I did that at Howard Johnson, but I was there in the test kitchen. Take one of the hot dog and cut them the long way, halfway through, and cut them across like that halfway through. When you put it into a skillet to cook, it turned out it curled up into a curly dog, I call it. And so I use half an English muffin, brown, and I did a special sauce in the middle, and put that in the center. That was curly dog. So, I mean,
Delicious.
this is not a lobster souffle. It's not complicated, but
But that's beautiful, right? I mean, and there's this time and a place for a lobster souffle, but I bet you it's a lot easier and quicker, right, to have something delicious like that. And that's what I've always loved about cooking is like just being able to really kind of do whatever you want to do. We've all made mistakes, I'm sure, and things that aren't so great, but you learn from them, hopefully, right? And I mean, that's
hopefully. I mean, Julia was great for that. She always does that, drop something. She said, "Fine, you're in the kitchen by yourself. Don't worry about it." She pick it up the floor, we use it, and, whatever. So she was very good this way, very natural also. But, she always said we start cooking together because I was in apprenticeship in 1949, right? She came to France in 1949 and stayed there for several years, at that point, at the Cordon Bleu and so forth. So it is true that to a certain extent, the cooking I did in Paris and in the big restaurant was similar to what she learned too. It was that time. She tended to keep that more. And when we did our show, many times we had many letters, people telling us that Julia was much more French than I was, and all that, telling stuff that we used to do in Paris. Like, for example, when I was at the Plaza Athénée, we cook spinach. Okay, so you have like 30, 40 pounds of spinach. You do it in a big copper container, because it's stay green. You drop your spinach in there. You cook them 3, 4 minutes. They wilt. You drain them out, cool them off with ice water and so forth, and then press them into bowl and put them in the refrigerator. When you have one order for spinach, regardless of the type of, you take one of those bowls of pre-cooked spinach, you saute it too fine. So, I remember cooking with her, and I'm doing spinach. So I took a handful of spinach, put it in a skillet to cover it. She said, "Oh no, you have to cook. We have to cook it before." I said, "No, we don't do that." So we had those arguments all the time.
I bet. You mentioned that the copper would keep spinach green. Is there
Right.
some type of little reaction that it has,
Yeah,
or yeah?
yeah, yeah. Online copper. You boil water in
Hmm.
it with salt, and all the green vegetables were cooked in there. It kept it green.
Unlined. Okay, so no, not the tinned. It's
Yeah.
just a straight copper.
Right.
Oh, okay. I like that. And it is one thing for me too with cooking is that, like, and listen, sometimes it's frustrating, but it should be fun, right? And I always got that from you and Julia.
Yeah, and maybe I was a bit too serious at some point, concentrated on the camera and said, "No, you have to do this, that too." And Julia said, "Great, but have fun at the same time."
Yeah.
So, it's true to bring pleasure in it, fun. And I have to say that in the 13 series that we did, each time we did a book.
It's
So
incredible.
prior to, that's why I have 30 book, over 30 book. Uh, Prior to come, I would do the book in the 6 months or 8 months or whatever. And when I came to do the series, which we did in about 2.5 weeks at KQED in San Francisco, I would give the manuscript of that new book to the back kitchen, to everyone else, so that they know what we're going to do. I have 26 million there. So they had an idea at least of what we did. I may not follow it exactly, but fine. When we did the show with Julia, a series we did together, she said, just write down 100 things that you like to do, and I'll do the same thing. So she wrote 100 things, I wrote 100 things, and I think 4 of mine made it. Four of my dish made it. So we choose, but we had no recipe. So we said, okay, let's do stew tomorrow. Let's do that, or we change that. So
Just cooking?
the back kitchen was kind of crazy. The cameraman too. They didn't know whether we were going right, left. But for me, cooking this way was maybe the easiest way of cooking as a professional chef, because I don't follow a recipe.
Me
And
neither.
why do I have a scallion in that dish? Because they happened to be on the table. I was doing that. I put them in and so forth. So that was great. We finished the show, but it took 2 years for the series to come on the air because we had a book to do
Right.
with Random House. And they would call and tell me, what did you do in that show? What did I do? Just if I don't remember. So we have to look at
Watch
it.
the video.
So do it, and eventually create a book. So it took like 2-3 years.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much
Yeah,
work.
it was.
And I'm the same way. I mean, it's and whether I got it inspired by you or just that we have similar personalities in when it comes to cooking, but I couldn't tell you outside of baking, or certain ferments, I couldn't tell you the last time I cooked from a recipe. And some people love it and they need it, and it's,
Yeah.
God bless everyone, and who do whatever you want to do as long as you're cooking. But I don't think I make the same thing twice.
No, you don't. But I mean, when you are in a restaurant,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of a restaurant, to have a specific dish that people like, which have to be done exactly the same each time. So it's part of the training and the foundation. And certainly, as you mentioned, if you get into baking, then in baking, the proportions are very important. I mean, you do a genoise, you put your flour, egg, you forget the vanilla in it. There is no recovery. I mean, it's in the other to find. Okay. So baking is different.
Yeah, for sure. You enjoy baking?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it depend what too. But I mean, I'm more cooking with stuff which are around and without. But as I say, when you start doing book or stuff like this, you do have to follow a recipe and follow a structure too, so that you can write a book. I mean,
Right.
Yeah. And it means that. And I'm sure that I've done that recipe. It's in there. I would never do it the same way exactly again. So, but you have to adjust each time. But I will tell people, if you take one of my recipe or any recipe for that matter, you should do it exactly the way it is the first time you do it. Force yourself to follow the recipe and do it exactly. If you like it, if it's good, you're likely to do it again. So the second time you may do a fast look, the third time. By the fourth time, you quote, improve the recipe. That is, you made it closer to your own taste. You put less tomato or more tomato, or you put this or you put that in there. And after a year or two, you don't even know where it comes from. That's
your
how
own
you do
dish.
it. So that's the process which I think
I love that.
should be.
Yep.
But not really when people take a recipe that they've never done, and they totally destroy, change it completely. That doesn't make any sense. At least do it once as a waiver.
Well, Jacques, I wanted to ask you too, because I know, I mean, you're like a Renaissance man when it comes to, known for a lot for cooking and being on TV and just being, getting people through, which are newer, I should say. Oh my God, it's not new anymore, but like, the shorter stuff that you were doing on social media. I mean, people tell me all the time it was like their favorite thing to watch during COVID and after, and I guess what I was getting at is just like I love your approach to food, but you do so much outside of it too, which I'm always blown away by, and how much of a beautiful and prolific artist you are. I mean, I've been honored to go to a few dinners that you were a part of, and I remember the first time I went with one, through in Connecticut. And the menu was this beautiful menu, and I said, "Well, you guys, this is a really beautiful menu." And Jacques does all of them for all the dinners. And when I looked into it, you just have all kinds of art that you're into. And is that something that you've done since you were younger, or picked up a bit young?
Yeah, I was married 54 years. My wife died 4 years ago, and so from the moment we were married. And that's okay. Claudine born 67, so from about 65, 6, 7, we were together. When we had people coming for dinner, it was Gloria's idea. She said, let's write down so that we don't do the same thing if they come back or this. So we write down. And then after we ask people to sign on the other side, I sign on one side of the menu. And then after I started illustrating those, I have 12 books that thick of menu, which we've done for over 55 years. And in fact, Claudine asked me a few months ago, she came home, she said, you know what I had for my 4th birthday? I said, yes, let's look. So we find our 4th birthday, and she was drawing a little chicken there too. So those books are our whole life,
It's
our
priceless.
whole memory.
What a beautiful tradition.
And it's not a complicated thing to do. Take a book, write the menu, your friend sign. So I have, from my mother, of course, to my 2 brothers, to my whole life is in those menus.
Wow.
So.
I wish more people, including myself, did that.
And then because of that, I did a book of menu. I draw a book of...
for sale. People can get it, yeah.
For sale. I have about 60. Here it is.
Okay, yeah.
So, I draw about 80 menu, and then people, write the menu there and sign on the other side and so forth. So, we've been doing that for years too here.
And did you always, before you got into doing it did you doodle or paint as a child? You said already you got into it. But yeah, it is something you've just been doing throughout your whole life, and you currently still do.
Yes, I mean, when I worked at Columbia, I had some free time that I could choose one subject or another. So I did a couple of painting and sculpture and drawing. So, and it started me in that direction. Yes.
Yeah. And then now, you turned 90. Congratulations on that again. I mean, what a blessing, and you're just you're moving better than most and sharp as a tack. And now, what I've done a few times with you with dinners and events is the Jacques Pépin Foundation, which is a really interesting chapter of your life and involving your family and just doing some really beautiful stuff. If you could tell me a little bit about the foundation.
Yes. Again, I have been very, very lucky in life because I would never have done a foundation. I would never have done the Facebook that my daughter done. I would never have done the art site that Tom Hopkins is selling my painting and so forth. So I've been very lucky of people doing that, but mostly my son-in-law asked me about 15 years ago or whenever, he said, you've been teaching all your life. We have 100 of tape and all that. So who would you like to teach now, the project? I said, we thought about it, and I said, maybe people who have been a bit disenfranchised with life, people who come out of jail, homeless people, former drug addicts, people like this, because in the food world, I can take someone, and in 6 weeks, I can train someone, to wash potato, to peel potato, to wash salad, to a basic, to peel onion. And if they like it and stay there at that base, maybe 5 years later, they are the chef there in that little restaurant. They have redone their life and make a salary and so forth. So it's been quite rewarding also to do that. And that's basically what the foundation does. Yes. So.
Well, it's beautiful work, Jacques. And and what I love about it too is, and what you were kind of saying is, it's not something as hyper focused as like being a mechanic or something. It's not everybody. Whether everyone's got to eat, so it's you can kind of get anybody into cooking and it changing lives with it. I think that's a really amazing accomplishment again to add to the ever going list, Jacques. Talk to me a little bit about the 90 for 90, the chef hosted event.
Well, again, this is an idea from my son-in-law. Not only who created the foundation, but eventually he asked different chefs to send a recipe, a video for us. And now we have 400 chefs from Thomas Keller to Rachel Ray who have sent those videos too, that young people can have access to and learn a great deal because we all cook differently.
So it's a little library category of videos.
Yeah, that's great. So he'd done that. Then after that, he said, okay, for your birthday, let's try to ask chef to do a dinner for you. We started this way. So 90 for 90 is 90 dinner done from Tom Colicchio to Daniel Boulou, from Rachel Ray to whatever. And 90 dinner, which celebrate my 90th birthday. And with that, they will send the profit to the foundation and so forth. So we are doing dinner where people charge $150 and you come and have dinner too, and we have some Thomas Kellogg is $5,000 or other $2,000. So totally different from different chefs. And also now we're doing it at home. We started doing it only in restaurant, 90 for 90 in restaurant, and now we ask people at home to do that. So like Dana Kahn, who was editor of Food and Wine, Sarah Moulton, to many of those lady friend of mine, I've done a dinner in their home and sent the profit to the foundation.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And Jacques, you were mentioned before that if folks want to access those, there's really awesome videos of the chefs that send in the recipes. They can sign up and be members of the Jacques Pépin Foundation,
right.
and open that library of. I mean, that's incredible. What a
That's
cool
great.
thing.
There is a great amount to learn for a young chef. If you get into that kind of library and you see 400 different people cooking, men, women, older, younger, it's a whole source of inspiration, so.
Well, I mean, to add to the hours and hours and hours of approachable knowledge and education in food on, through your books and through your writings and the TV shows that you've done, Jacques. I mean, I really can't thank you enough for being you and doing what you do, and sharing it with the world. And to end on that note as well, in the name of sharing, you have another book that you have coming out, which is coming out. I should be right around when this episode's coming out.
Yes, I have 100 recipe and 150 painting. I'm more painting than recipe in there.
All the artwork is by you,
Yeah,
Jacques, right?
I even have some in black and white. Yeah,
Recipes and art.
But yeah, yes. So it's fun. I mean, food brings people together. There is no question. And in our time of political polarization, at least food, there is no political application, no racial application. You get together, you cook, share a glass of wine. As I said, if I have five Republican and five Democrat coming to my house before they start arguing, I say, open a bottle of wine, okay?
We'll figure something out. Yeah.
Glass of wine.
I can't agree more. And like I said before to you earlier, it really is a universal language, like love or music for that matter, right? Like I've always said that. Like I've always genuinely felt that. And again, this might sound a little ignorant or whatever, but I feel like you can go anywhere in the world, and with the intentions of what we're talking about, with people who will relate to, are always going to take interest in that good food and the good agriculture and the people and the communities around them. I mean, it's the most human. It's a foundation of being.
I remember in France driving with my wife in small village in Greece or place like this. People look behind the curtain, so those are foreigners, so you are dangerous. So you stop at the bistro, you stay there, you order by hand, usually a bottle of wine or a thing of wine to you, and then people start coming, sitting down, you're less dangerous, and then you send them a bottle of wine then you're a friend. I mean, people.
Exactly. A big scary person that walks into a bar or something turns out to be the sweetest person you ever met. But yeah, heck yeah. Jacques, I've had enough. I've taken enough of your time. I know we have a private dinner here tonight. We're doing a little boules, which people may not know this about you, but they will now. Highly competitive, highly skilled boules player. And I look forward to throwing them around with you and cooking a dinner for you, Jacques.
And sharing a glass of wine.
Yeah, maybe too. And my boys, we went out fishing yesterday. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I know you love seafood, as do I. One of my favorite things. And each of them caught one caught a striped bass and one caught a bluefish. And
that's
we
terrific.
prepared it, butchered it up beautifully, hung it overnight, and it's going to be part of the preparation tonight.
Yeah, people often don't like bluefish. I think it's strong. Bluefish is absolutely terrific if it's fresh. I mean,
100%. And I don't have to tell you if it's fresh and how you treated it, from when the time it was caught, bleeding it out, gutting it, never putting it on fresh water. It's, and it's just treated like it was a tuna, not a junk fish. I know we ate some mackerel over a meal a few days ago, and one of my favorite fish in the world. I've been a huge champion might not be the right word, but a pusher of people eating more bait. I just love the small fish, the oily fish. Everything eats them for a reason, I think, because it's very good for you.
yeah, and it's free.
Yeah, especially when you catch them. Well, Jacques, thank you again. And
Thank you.
But before I forget, a little speed round question for you. If you had, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
black or dairy?
with milk.
With milk.
Cat
Milk or
black.
half and half?
Milk.
You're a milk guy. Okay. All right. All right. And if there was a last meal, not to throw you in the hot seat, no pun intended, but if you could just at the moment, whatever you would feel right now, if it was it right now, what would you eat?
Well, first it's going to be a long
Okay.
long meal. Maybe a couple of. I don't know. I mean, I can't do a meal without bread and butter. I mean,
Right.
extraordinary bread,
Perfect.
extraordinary butter, to eggs, chicken. Any of those, is going to work. And caviar, of course, and foie gras, whatever.
I think this is the right answer.
yeah.
It's going to be a feast of 7 days for sure. Great answer. And then I guess the last thing, if there was folks listening that were or maybe wanted to get into restaurants or feed food media from the internet to books to whatever, just that category. Any advice to people?
For people to get into that business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go to restaurant and try to be objective, in what you eat and think about it and try it yourself. And yeah, there is always, I mean, without any question, you cannot escape yourself. And I teach at BU at Boston University, and I do the perfect meal for the student: a roast chicken, a boiled potato, and a salad, all fresh. So
Perfect.
I do it, they all eat it, and then they all go to the stove with the same basket to do it. I know that out of 12 people, I'm going to have 12 different chicken. Some cold, some warm, some uncooked, some too cooked, some whatever. It's going to be totally different.
Right.
And I tend to tell people, don't try, to impress me and do something different. No, cook according to your own cook. Yeah, because if I take you, 4 of us here, to the greatest restaurant in New York and in America, according to the New York Times or whatever, I'm going to choose one, and it's likely that you're not going to choose the same one or someone else not the same one, because ultimately, it's a reflection on your own taste, because this one happened to coincide exactly with your idea of taste and your idea. So you got to pick that one. So to a certain extent, as I say, you cannot expand yourself, and you will at some point go back to your own taste and your own way of looking at things.
Well, that's beautiful, Jacques. And again, pleasure having you on. And if people want to find out more about Jacques or watch him, check him out on the social medias. We'll put the information down in the text and description. And check out celebratejacques.org to get on that 90 for 90 campaign. And go check out the foundation, the Jacques Pépin Foundation, doing the good work. And Jacques, just thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right.
Let me cook for you, and we'll have you going white wine or a little red wine today.
Both.
A little bit of both. Great.
Yeah, one after the other.
Yeah, well, thank you, and check out Jacques' new book and all the other ones. They're phenomenal. I mean, I still can't believe that I had a little attempt at interviewing the man that was such an inspiration to so many. So thank you again, Jacques, and we love you.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be genius. Now people think that chef are, but
Run with it.
we're still mashed potato maker.
and the best ones at that. If you're gonna make anything, make them well, right? Yeah. Thank you, Jacques.
Thank you.
This episode was produced by Brad Leone and Carolyn Gagnon in partnership with Studio 71. It was edited by Kate Brunotts with music by Harrison Menzel.